Hi, welcome back. Today, we're going to take a philosophical concept we mentioned in an earlier video and look at it in greater depth. We're going to investigate sublation. Sublation is a concept talked about by Hegel. It is one of the most important parts of his philosophy. The German word for sublation is Aufhebung. What it literally means is both to cancel out and preserve. It is the union of two opposites in a greater whole. For instance, the concepts up and down seem to be complete opposites, but if you look more closely, you'll see that each needs the other. Nothing is up unless there's something else below it, something down. And nothing is down unless there's something else above it, something up. When up and down sublate each other, we have a new concept, the concept of depth. In the new concept, the two original concepts are no longer each a single concept, so they're cancelled out. But each also has its full meaning only in light of the other, so they are preserved at the same time. That's the most basic explanation of sublation, but there's more to it than just that. To better understand what sublation is, let's spend a little time looking at what it's not. Karl Max was inspired by Hegel's philosophy, but a lot of what he says differs from Hegel's original ideas. We can see this in the Marxist understanding of sublation. Marx is the one who popularized describing the three steps of sublation as the thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Hegel uses these terms in his philosophy, but he does not use them to describe the process of sublation. He does sometimes refer to the opposed earlier stages of the sublation as antitheses, but for Hegel, synthesis has a specific meaning which is not the same thing as the result of sublation. Hegel uses synthesis in a Kantian sense, which we'll look at in greater depth in the next video. For now, suffice it to say that a synthesis is the union of two different concepts, but in sublation, the whole point is that the two opposites were really part of the same concepts the whole time. In fact, the movement of the opposites into the greater whole is a necessary part of the original thing. Until they are sublated, they're one-sided. Here's a concrete example. At first glance, a jackalope might seem like a good instance of sublation. Two things which are not the same, a jackrabbit and an antelope, are united in one concept. There are a couple problems here, however. For one thing, jackrabbits and antelopes, even though they're different from each other, are not pure opposites. You don't get an antelope by making the opposite of a rabbit. There's no necessary movement from one to the other. Also, the resulting concept, a jackalope, doesn't really preserve the distinction between the two. It's just a combination of parts of each in something new, not a new concept which gives fuller meaning to the original opposites. As fond as we are of jackalopes, they're not a very good example of sublation. Hegel gives an important, but hard to understand, example of sublation at the beginning of his book, The Science of Logic. He tries to start with the most basic thing possible, pure being, and shows that it is really the same as pure nothing. These two sublate each other into becoming. It sounds confusing at first, but when we see what Hegel means by pure being and pure nothing, it actually makes sense. This is what he means by pure being. Think about an apple. Now take away everything about it that makes it that particular apple, its color, its texture, its weight, and so on. Now we just have the empty concept of apple. Now take away the concept of apple too, so that there is nothing specific at all to distinguish this being from anything else. This is pure being. The problem is, once you take away all the particular things that determined being, then there's really nothing left. There's no apple, no concept of apple, and really no concept of anything. There's nothing there at all. As you can see, pure being is so abstract that it really is nothing. Pure being is pure nothing. Yet, in passing from what we thought was pure being to pure nothing, there has been a change in our understanding. Pure being, in a certain sense, has become pure nothing. We have arrived at a new concept, the concept of becoming. This is an important start for the book, because using sublation, from this beginning we can build up an entire system of philosophy. Becoming gets sublated with its opposite to become determinate being, and we continue to sublate the opposites of each result of sublation, getting a fuller content each time. This is the approach to all Hegel's philosophy. Understanding sublation is the key to understanding Hegelianism. You need to understand sublation to understand how Hegel thinks our minds work, and why he thinks Kant's philosophy is incomplete. We'll take a closer look at why this is in our next video. We hope to see you then. Happy philosophizing!